I am Tonnisha English Amamu. I'm the founder and CMO of TJE Communications. I own a boutique marketing agency and we provide nonprofits with digital marketing solutions like social media marketing, email marketing, as well as content development. So we got connected on LinkedIn. You did two webinars, and the things that stood out to me was when you were talking about having a scalable offer and like
Mhm.
showing the offer triangle. And something that has been a challenge for me is I have experienced significant growth, but then when I'm in that growth phase, everything's like crazy because I can't handle all of the work on my own. And I wasn't sure how to actually scale the business. So from there, I did the 2-day masterclass, and then we had our calls, and then I just realized like, okay, I have to do this, or else I'm gonna burn out and I'm not gonna be able to continue on anymore. I have two kids, two young kids, and a husband, and so my husband was like, "You're always working on the weekend. Like, what's going on?" And
Mhm.
I had to really take a step back and look at like, is scaling my business worth my family? Which, of course, the answer is no, but there is a way to scale so that you don't have to sacrifice your family time if you do it the right way. Which before I had no idea how to do that at all. I had people on retainer, but it was like an hourly thing. So some months could be super busy, which means I made more money, versus some months maybe a little slow, which meant less money. And so that was one of the first things that we talked about. And one of the first things I changed with my offer is not focusing on the amount of hours that I'm giving a client, but focusing on what do I bring to the table? What problems am I helping that client solve? And even just that small change with my current clients, like not even any new clients, I was able to scale my business 3 times the amount than when I first started working with you.
Does that mean 3 times the number of hours per client?
Oh, 3 times the revenue. And I'm able to work. I try to keep myself between like 30, 35 hours a week. And so
Mhm.
went from like 60 hours a week to 30, and also tripled my business, which is like crazy.
And I know there's a lot of agency owners that might watch this and they're like, bullshit. But like, so,
Honestly, when we had the
yeah.
call, like talking about getting me into the mastermind, I was literally on the verge of like tears, like,
Mhm.
you know, can I do it all? When I started my business, I was a single mom, and surprisingly, it was a lot easier to manage like being a mom and running the business because once my kid went to bed, then I had all this free time to myself to
Mhm.
work all night. But then getting married and having another baby,
Mhm.
now it's like I'm like on 24/7. It's either kids or husband. So that was not gonna work anymore. And so I got to the point where I was really thinking, like, man, like maybe having a business no longer can fit into my life. So what am I gonna do? This is all I've known.
Mhm.
And I was about to have like a breakdown because I wasn't sure about where to go next. So I'm so happy that I was like, you know what? Even though I'm broke, I'm gonna just do this and invest into this. And doing that literally has changed my life. And I think we've only been working together for like what, 6 months, if that.
Yeah. Let's take a step back because that's really awesome. And obviously there was a decision factor
Mhm.
where you felt burnt out. You're even saying you were kind of like broke at the time, and you're like, I gotta figure out
Mhm.
something. And if you can bring yourself back to that moment where you were making that decision, what really made it to where you decided to move forward?
For me, I was just thinking about all of the time that I've already invested into this. And I was kind of like at like a fork in the road, really. It's like I can give up right now, but I know that if I do that, maybe in a year, maybe 2 years, I'm going to come back to this and know that entrepreneurship is what I want to do. I can either do this roundabout way and potentially end up in the same spot because I didn't have the tools to for that breakthrough,
Mm-hmm.
right? So for me, it was like, you know what? I'm going to try this one last thing. And if this doesn't work, then I'll think about other alternatives. And I mean, in my house, me and my husband were having these conversations about, okay, do you want to be a stay-at-home mom and wife? Do you want to go get a full-time job? Like, what do you want to do? And we were having these conversations. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just, thought about all the time that I put into this and like I could see the vision. I just didn't have the game plan to make it happen. And so I felt that I mean through even the free things that you've offered that I've done, you just have felt so genuine and
Mm-hmm.
real and that you truly care about the people that you're working with. So that is also what drew me in as well because I felt like, okay, I've had other, coaching kind of people like approach me for things and like if you tell them, okay, well, I can't afford it right now, they're like, okay, well, bye. But you're like, okay, that's cool, but I'm offering this other thing, so maybe you should try that. It's like you didn't
Mm-hmm.
just like shut me out when I was kind of hesitant to make the investment.
Yeah.
So that like sold me, honestly. Yeah.
It's kind of funny that the differentiating factor is actually caring. but
Yeah, yeah, So, I
yeah.
mean, I'm sure anybody like watching this and who's maybe in the same place that I was, 5 months ago, like you put your heart and soul into this and the last thing you want is someone that is going to make a bunch of promises and ask you to make this huge investment but they don't actually care about if you scale or if you grow or not. They just care to get you in the seat to be another number to them. But
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel that way speaking with you, and that was truly the decision maker for me was because I felt like you genuinely cared about if I was actually going to be able to be a part of the program and be successful. Because I didn't just get in, like we had to have conversations and have some real conversations about where I wanted to go in business. And so yeah, I mean, caring about people is really important.
And for someone who doesn't know about the program or doesn't really understand kind of what we do, I guess, how would you describe that program to somebody who's never heard of it before?
I would describe it as, I mean, really, it's like an accountability group in like your business besties, right? Like, I have an accountability partner within the group who lives in Canada and I'm in Ohio. And so, being able to talk to her about the things that we're experiencing that are so similar, even hearing stories from people like, all over different time zones. Some people, it's like nighttime for them during our calls, but we're all still going through the same thing. So it's like having a sounding board for the things that you're going through, being able to bounce ideas off of one another, being able to learn how other people are doing it, trying it
Mm-hmm.
out, seeing if it works for you. I mean, it's really like an a community of people who it's a safe space really like I know that's probably cliche but it really is for you to be like I don't know what's going on but here's all my problems somebody help me figure it out and by the time you leave the call you will have a game plan to start figuring it out. The first thing I did was the three selves, which it sounds like most people avoid that one. but but I did it and it really pushed me to look beyond the business and like look at the why because I mean you can go get a really like cushy corporate job and have the same outcome as far as like money and being able to take care of your family But looking at the why was super important for me first. Also looking at my offer, it was not scalable, and it was me. I was the bottleneck in it all. And it's something that I'm still working through. But through this, I've also learned how to delegate better. I have a virtual assistant, so getting better at delegating tasks. Um, Something that recently happened, with my virtual assistant is, I'm asking her to potentially help with social media,
Mhm.
and I didn't make an emotional decision because I like her. I'm like, okay, thanks for the proposal. But now on my end, there's things that I need to do to make sure it's truly going to be a fit for my
Mhm.
business. And I feel like that's something that I've always done is make a lot of emotional decisions in business. And now it's being objective and keeping your business goals and your vision in mind and
Mhm.
making decisions that aligned with that and not based off of how I feel in that moment.
And then, would you recommend the program?
Definitely 10 times over. Um, if you are, even, starting off, if you have a team, if you're solo, whatever, I highly recommend it, especially because, it's not just the coaching calls that we have every week, but it's also the school portal where there's so much information in there as well. Like you've helped me to create my executive assistant chat GPT, and that's like my other business bestie right now, helping to keep me organized, helping to keep me on task, helping to right now I'm working on creating an actual like job description for a social media admin person. So it's more than just, the conversations that we're having on the calls, but there's actually tools that we're getting, and then we can bring any questions or things that we're working on to the calls to kind of talk deeper about it. But there's just so many ways being a part of this that you can grow, whether it's, the calls, the school, but then also you can have an accountability partner who otherwise you probably wouldn't have met. Like I don't even have a passport, so I probably would have never met Daisy, right? But now
Yeah.
I can bounce ideas off of her and talk to her. So, highly recommend it for sure. If you're on the fence and you really look at all the time that you put into building something, if you can just throw it away and give up now, fine. Cool. But if you're really thinking about all the time that you put into this, and there's just something like pulling you there that it's like, I just can't give up, then this is where you need to be for sure. Because that's how I felt. It was still like this calling. Like, I can't stop now. Like, there's something here. I just don't have the tools to take it to where it needs to go. So if you have that feeling, please don't give up on yourself and try this out and see if it works. I know that it will. And you'll be happy that you did. Thank you to you for everything. And just always being so willing to share your secrets with us to help us grow. It really means a lot to know that, like, this investment is with a person that not only is knowledgeable about the things that you're speaking about, but also cares about the people that you're working with. So I just really admire that and appreciate that.